Hey people, this is Andrew again with another knife review. So Drew with another knife review, and today we are going to be looking at the MKM Fara slip joint. I am not a huge slip joint person, but I do like a lot of them. Number one, they usually come fairly slim, easy, they're relatively light, and it's a very robust and easy mechanism to, well, get dirty. So it can be quite good. They can also be quite elegant, and it is very much one of those classic gentleman's knife that it is like a two-handed opening. There's a lot of class to that, which this one is very much definitely a two-handed opener. A couple of size comparisons here real quick, but QSP Penguin, it is very similar in size. Right there, if you need some specs, overall blade length 2.99 inches, apparently right below 3 at that last little nub there. 7-inch overall length. Blade stock is a robust 0.1 inches. So it's actually relatively thin, even though still robust. It's still a pretty robust, but thin blade stock, which is nice. It's not a full flat grind, but it's got that saber grind, which is pretty cool. It is 2.65 ounces. That is M390 on there. I don't know if that's showing up. But anyway, so yeah, it's M390. This is the drop exclusive ebony wood with the blue pivot collar. This was back when Drop was doing stuff off of Amazon. This was something you could get there. I don't know if it still is. It's a pretty nice one. I definitely like the black ebony wood. It is that matte finish that goes with it. It's pretty cool. It's just that, well, that wood feeling. It's nice and warm. You know, it doesn't ever really get cold. Doesn't ever really get too hot. Well, the black does. It's not too bad. M390 back spring I believe it is Teflon washers. I have not pulled this apart yet, which makes lubrication of the pivot kind of a moot point, as Teflon is one of the lowest friction substances there is. If you don't know that, Teflon on Teflon is the equivalent of wet ice on wet ice on most measurement scales. Teflon is incredibly stable, low on friction, and all sorts of other things. It is a unusually miraculous substance, despite being flexible and all that. But yes, Teflon, pretty stable. It'll actually last a long time. It can take temperatures. Impact is pretty tough. Slicing, not so much. Anyway, Teflon washes on there. I digressed. Had to use that one. This one's right around 100 to 120 bucks. I got this on a deal on Drop. I don't think you can still get them for that close to $100 that it is. So I personally got this one. It's a nice one. If you can see, I'll see if I can get this to you. I keep saying, if you can see, if I can be good enough to get this to see, that nice crowned spine is all through there. And the little gap there, I actually was upset about at first. It seems like it shouldn't be this. Like, I want this to be seamless, but as a slip joint, when you have that open, the reason that those two pieces don't fit exactly flush on the top is because they've been rounded. That's it. The other parts of them fit perfectly flush. They rounded these edges, so even when it's at a half stop, there's the only sharp edge is the sharpened edge. That's actually really cool to me. I think that is an extra measure of safety. You're not if you can still get your skin pinched in there if you're not careful, but it's pretty hard. You can pinch up for light work. When you get up there, you can choke up just a little bit. It's, you know, relatively nice on that as far as it goes. You can get a pinch. You can kind of roll your finger up and get some good fingering on the blade. Right? Get it up there. Get some things. And yes, fingering the blade. Anyway, beautiful knife as far as that goes. Couple of things I want to compare it to a little bit more. Let's see. I'll do a different sort of size comparison here. The Civivi Pintail, you know, this is a little bit shorter, a little bit longer on the handle, but it's narrow at the tail. I get a full 4-finger grip on there with the thumb on top. On a pinch, I easily do, and as much as I hate that type of lanyard, I really wish they'd have just, like, seriously, like, put another pin in the back and put the wood all the way out to the end. Like, I mean, it's there, right? Like there's enough room on this. You could have put a pin in there. But such is the design. Not my style, but it's probably my biggest complaint about this. There's a couple of quality control issues. But let's see if I'm showing you guys the right side. Okay, so here's the side that's got the good edge all the way out to the tip. Then here's the side. Has a good edge until the tip. It gets really near. I don't know if you can see that reflection so good, but see how this is all nice and even, then at the tip it gets really small. It's the only real fit and finish quality-wise I have found wrong with this knife is that semi-uneven grind right at the very edge. Nothing that a hand or a home sharpening person won't fix the first time they have to sharpen it. It's M390, so it might be a while. And it does have a pretty good edge despite that and a good tip. So even though it's off just a little bit, sort of, it kind of got lazy at the very tip, I don't know, it's still got a pretty good factory edge. And as they say with slip joints, the walk and talk, not bad. It is a two-handed knife. You can pinch it open. Let's see if I can do this. I don't know if I can do it with my right hand where you can see it. So let's see if I can do it. Well, let's see. All right, no. I have been able to pinch it open before, but I can't right now. I don't know if I'm just greasy or what. Apparently I work in a Vaseline factory, as Nick Shabazz would say. Anyway, it's really pretty much two-handed. I have a couple of other slip joints. One that's a little bit closer to it, the Artisan Cutlery Biome, which is a much looser, almost can't do that one-handed. It's got a pretty good spring, so it's got some resistance to both open and close. If you have your hand there, you do run the risk of that little tip being in there, but if you're choking up doing fine detail work, you should be paying attention to what you're doing. It's a slip joint. You should know what you have in your hand. That being said, it's a non-locking knife, so you should already know. The Artisan Cutlery is a non-locking. I keep this as a wallet carry. It is super, super slim. It is ridiculously thin. It's nice, 12C27. Review on this will be coming up soon as well. I do like this one. Another, the size comparison, not so much. Another interesting slip joint I own, just to put it in here, is the Cold Steel Lucky one. Cold Steel. Oh yeah. Just remind me I am. Nice little pocket clip, carbon fiber, S35 VN. You used to be able to get these for fairly cheap. I don't even know. I think they're discontinued. Great little pen knife. Wallet carry, fifth pocket carry. It's a little long. It's got finger grooves, but it does give you, I mean, it's, what are you going to do with this knife that is a, and as far as walk and talk, it's actually pretty good for a little thing. Now, these are not the same category. This is really to illustrate sort of where it sits on the slip joint scale for me. Now, one that's on the opposite end, but I like for different reasons, and I'll have a review on this, is the Bestech Yunzi. Because it's a one-hand opening slip joint. Non-locking, thumb stud. It is a bit smaller, but man, that finger choil really gives it all the handle you could possibly want. Your finger gets right in there, so you can't, even if you break it, it's in there. This is not, this is relies on the spring, which is honestly, like, I gotta put my finger there to make sure. This is really easy. Like, the walk on talk on this is so light. Like, you have to push it closed. The spring doesn't really snap it like this. So the Bestech Yunzi, really the best part, it's not a strong spring, though it is really nicely finished. Again, that titanium carbon fiber, blah, blah, blah. Is that it is a, oops, on camera. Still can't do the facing thing. Wow. This is, I have a slight injury on my finger, so this is going to be weird. There we go. One-handed opening slip joint. One take, one shot, you guys. I'm not redoing this thing 9 minutes in. So there's that as far as size comparison. The rounded spine, MKM. My goodness, that is a thing of beauty. All the way down, the full back spring and the entire spine of the blade is crowned all the way to the tip. That's a fantastic thing to see. So, I don't know how many people are into slip joints. I know a lot of people like them as classic knives and that sort of thing. This one's really good. You can get some tip control if you need to. It's going right against it, so you don't need to really push it, but it gives you that kind of good tip control when you're all choked up on it. You can, like I said, you can choke up a little bit with your finger. You can choke up and finger the blade. It's got good ergonomics. That pinch right there, it seems like really slim, but it's actually fairly thick in that direction, which gives you a fair amount of square indexing for your thumb, a nice platform, a good amount of grip. It's actually a pretty nice little slip joint. My biggest complaints are that crazy lanyard hole. It's a nice little design aesthetic, but that peninsula of, in this case, ebony wood, which I'm presuming is stabilized, I would hope. That little peninsula looks like a thing that's going to chip off at some point in time. Like, if there's going to be a piece of this that breaks, it's going to be that. Also, while it's rounded and it's not sharp, to me, this is just I can almost pinch that together with my fingers. Like, I can make that, let's see if I can get that in the camera. Probably not. But I can make that flex and actually move away from the scales. Again, having scales on there, extra stuff to kind of give it that stiffness, the lanyard thing being a lanyard knob or standoff or something. So there's plenty, you can see the blade doesn't come anywhere close to that. You could easily put a hidden lanyard in the tip and cover the whole thing out. That being said, it's a good knife. Like I said, I'm not being a slip joints. I am far from an expert. I like the ergonomics of this. The design of it is a good classic knife. It's got the classic drop point with the saber grind. It is M390 and 1/10 of an inch blade stock with a really good really good grind on it, with my example having a slight inconsistency at the tip. Walk and talk on it, it's pretty good. There are definitely stronger ones, but this one is not bad at all. It's got a good solid. I'm not worried about that. Like, I can bump it and it's not going to snap on my fingers. I would kind of have to do it. There's not an in-belt safety like having your finger there so for accidents, so it can, but it does have pretty good walk and talk if your hand's right there. You might get a nick, but it's going to stop at that half stop, which is nice. And of course, good solid snap at the end there. Teflon washers, not the best, but because I have yet to break this open and see if there are some phosphor bronze in there to go with it. But I believe the specs from the manufacturer state that it is a Teflon washer system. It's a good knife. It's a slip joint. Some people like that, some people don't. It's nice and easy. There's no pocket clip. It comes with a slip, and I forgot it on there. It comes with, you know what? I'm not going to mess that up though. I'm going to go get it. This is not easy. Hey, you got to see that. Sweating. MKM, the pocket slip. It has a leather belt loop. The knife slides in fairly well. It sits in the pocket. It can sit on the belt or slip in the pocket in this wonderful. Now, the belt loop is not detachable, so it's either just something to grab a hold of or just slide it in your pocket. But it does come with a pretty nice little pocket slip. I don't know what that was. It does come with a pretty nice little pocket slip. So, which is nice. There's no other real way to carry it except for just loose in your pocket, fifth pocket. It's a little big for fifth pocket carry. This is about, the Civivi pintail is about as big as I like to carry, so that's about the same size. It's a little bit big, but it's a good little knife. Aesthetics are something that may or may not agree on here. I mean, obviously aesthetics or something. I like it. I like that it's a unique. I like the teardrop shape. It's good feeling in the hand. It's a decent classic blade shape. Very, very useful for EDC. It's got a nice pointy tip that's still robust enough. See if that's the... This is a nice pointy tip that's still robust enough given the thickness of the blade stock. Decent grind, good, solid. It's not the thinnest thing behind the edge. I don't know if that's going to pick up. Yeah, probably not. But it is definitely not the thinnest thing behind the edge, but it ain't that thick either. It's got that saber grind makes it taper down pretty fast. So even though it depends on where you can fit your calipers, I'll put it that way. Like it can go a few 4 or 5 thousandths real fast. But with that being said, M390 steel, crowned spine and back spring, ebony wood. You can get several other versions of the handle. I particularly like the ebony wood just because it was black and I wanted to try an ebony wood handle. I don't have one except for this knife. I still don't know if I'm going to keep this one around in my collection. It's nice, but it is a nice example of a good solid slip joint too, and it is travel friendly. It's right under 3 inches. It's non-locking. It's two-hand opening. There's a lot going for it that this could be a good travel knife that still has use. It also is my first MKM knife. One of my very, very first Italian-made knives besides the aforementioned cold steel lucky one. I don't know if that's going to show up, but it is made in Italy. So one of my only Italian-made knives besides a cold steel, because my cold steel's made in Italy. Anyway, but yeah, Maniago knife makers, the consortium of some really great knife makers there, where they band together to do particular brands where it's easy. And I'll tell you, MKM's easy to remember. Good quality. I definitely, like I said, I'm not going to. A lot of people would really, really be upset about that slight off grind. I'm going to end up sharpening my knife anyway. I end up sharpening almost all of them. I don't worry so much about resale value. I worry about function. So yeah, there. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to start to wrap this up, you guys, because being a slip joint is not really up my alley, but I like the idea that it's something that I can travel with. I like that it's solid. I like that it's small. It comes with its own slip. While being non-discreet, while being discreet and for being discreet, we'll just go with that one. For being discreet, it's got the MKM. It's soft, it's supple, it's smooth. If you pull it out, you can't see the knife, so it's not scary. It's a very, very calm thing. I do like, and I will be reviewing some other slip joints, most notably this Best Tech Unzi, which I like very, very much. And this MKM, I'm kind of torn on it. It's a little bit classic. It has qualities I like. It's not quite shadow boxed, but it's almost. Like there's a lip, and it's an intentional one, but it is like 0.5 millimeter. It is the tiniest amount of shadow boxing, which is pretty cool. It gives it a little bit of roundness while still being flat. It's so close that it's still flat enough that my entire thumb feels. Again, it's not too scary. It looks, when you pull it out, it doesn't look scary. It looks like, oh, you have a teardrop or teardrop or something like this. It's nice. It looks classy while looking useful without being too scary. Some people will obviously there, but the fact that I can hide this in its own slip also makes it nice. Makes it nice for traveling. Makes it nice if you're in a place where there's restrictions. It's under 3 inches. There are places where it needs to be under 2.5, but it's under 3 inches. It's not single hand opening, and it's not locking. That's crazy. That's really good. That puts this knife available to a lot of people, as long as they can afford the price, which is the other part about it. The design is nice, the aesthetics nice, the mechanics are really good. I was expecting a little bit higher quality than what I got, but that was only because I had seen it for a higher price other places. I got a really good deal at around $90-something for that one. I believe most of the time it's retailing around for $120. So I got a pretty good, like 25% discount, which makes it worth it to me. M390 ebony wood, crown spine, that attention to detail at under $100 was absolutely a great deal for me. At the 120, it depends on what you like about the wood. And again, if I had a perfect grind on that, the only complaint I have is in the design, not the execution. The execution is nearly flawless. The design is really that lanyard loop, squeezy, pointy thing. is my only complaint about the knife. It's a design complaint, not an execution or function complaint, which again becomes a part of my expectations of the knife. I expect it to be a little bit different than that. But that being said, it's still a great knife. That was my expectations, not the designer's. So I was expecting a little something. I didn't quite get it. But as a knife, it works good. As a tool, it works great. As a functional accessory to my wardrobe, it works great. As something that I can use hopefully every day, it's fantastic. It's a little pricey, but if you're into slip joints, you can get very pricey slip joints. And yeah, there's a couple more from I believe, I want to say it's MKM, but I had to look it up. But there's a couple there. It may even be I believe, who has. There's slip joints, partial slip joints, the double detent ones that are coming out now that are non-locking. There's a ton of ways to do it. This one has good walk and talk. Good sheath that comes with it for the price. It is real leather and it is supple, good, nice leather. M390, an unusual handle material, and they come in several different flavors for those which you like, and good ergonomics, aesthetics, design, and mechanics. That's really hard to fault. So for what it is, you guys, I'm going to give this one a 4-star rating. It's really good. It's Goldilocks for me. Right? It's not quite fantastical. It's basically Goldilocks. It's almost Goldilocks. It's not quite right, but it's not, oh, this one's too hot or too cold. It's just not quite right. It's like, ooh, there's little things, but they're livable. For what else I get for the money, it's there. So I shouldn't say 4 stars. This is almost Goldilocks. So that being there, if there's a Goldilocks minus for me, it's almost right where it needs to be, like in the old Three Bears story. But there's a couple things missing. There's a few things that really bring it off from being Goldilocks. And it doesn't wow me. That would make it a fantastical item. So it just sits a little bit below the old Goldilocks stage. But it's enough that it's noticeable. I know it every time I open this up. I go, oh, there's these things wrong with it. But that's me. Function of this knife is nothing wrong. A little bit of a tip grind problem and a design issue that I don't like. Basically, the biggest functional problem is that little thing right there. It's really good for the grip, for the pinky. It lets your pinky just kind of roll and have a little shelf, which is nice. But that's going to break off. That being said, I'm going to wrap this up, you guys. This is a great little knife. I do recommend it if you're into slip joints. It has a lot of great qualities. If anything that I said on here makes you feel better about it, or if you already own it and you're like, yeah, that's right, or if you don't like, please comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And if you want to watch, I'm going to be trying to put out more content. I've got a lot of time on my hands to sit around, so that's kind of bad, but at the same time, it lets me do videos. So you're going to see a bit more content, and hopefully you guys can subscribe and start providing something that you want to watch. So if you do, by all means, check out more of my videos. Check out this one, and I'll be talking to you soon. This has been A Dose of Drew. Watch it twice and come back in the morning. Thanks.